What would you do with a brain if you had one?
Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics, and I want to welcome you to another episode of The Daily Stupid, where we cover some of the dumbest and most idiotic things happening around the world and on the internet. Today we've got more stupid, including Don Lemon, an Atlantic 10 security guard, Joy Behar, and a failed congressional candidate, Clayburn Griffin.
Let's get things started. Ready? Go!
First up, CNN anchor Don Lemon appeared on a segment of ABC's The View, where he reacted to the recent news where the Pope and the Catholic Church reaffirmed its centuries-long teaching that priests cannot bless same-sex unions. The Vatican, after a lengthy explanation, stated the Church does not have and cannot have the power to bless unions of persons of the same sex in the sense intended above, which is referring to that lengthy explanation. Lemon reacted to this explanation saying,
"Listen, I respect people's right to believe in whatever they want to believe in their God. But if you believe in something that hurts another person or that does not give someone the same rights or freedoms, not necessarily under the Constitution, because this is under God, I think that that's wrong."
What happened to respecting what people believe? I guess that was a lie. Nevertheless, he then decided to lecture the church, saying,
And I think that the Catholic Church and many other churches really need to re-examine themselves and their teachings, because that is not what God is about. God is not about hindering people or even judging people.
This is just laughably stupid. Don Lemon really thinks he knows better than a 2,000-year-old institution that was created by Jesus Christ. Seriously, it really doesn't get any dumber than this. However, he would still double down, saying,
So I would say to the Pope and the Vatican and all Christians or Catholics or whomever, whatever religion you believe you happen to belong to out there, go out and meet people and try to understand people and do what the Bible and what Jesus actually said if you believe in Jesus, and that is to love your fellow man and judge not lest ye be not judged.
Again, this is a lie peddled by people who have no clue what they are talking about or are actively trying to lead people astray. Monsignor Charles Pope broke down the tactic that Lemon tries to employ back in 2017. First, he reveals the full passage that Lemon quotes. Interesting that Lemon doesn't quote the full passage because, shocking, context matters. And we all know he works at CNN, so he doesn't actually believe in context. The full passage from the Gospel of Matthew reads, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Monsignor Pope translates the passage into our modern vernacular, writing, "Be careful not to condemn, because if you lower the boom on others, you will have the boom lowered on you. If you throw this book at others, it will be thrown at you." I will also like to point out that the end of the passage actually says, "First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Why didn't Lemon include that in the passage? We know why. Because not only is Lemon taking the passage out of context, but he also ignores other teachings of Christ that explicitly instruct us to correct sinners. Another passage from the Gospel of Matthew reads, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly, I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." In Galatians, St. Paul writes, "Brethren, if a man is overtaken in any sin, you who are spiritual should recall him in a spirit of gentleness. Look to yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." And in the epistle of James, James writes, "My brethren, if anyone among you wanders from the truth and someone brings him back, let him know that whoever brings back a sinner from the error of his way will save his soul from death and will cover a multitude of sins." Don Lemon has no idea what he is talking about and just spouting whatever garbage comes to the top of his mind in order to spread his own propaganda. The dude is a complete and utter buffoon. And if you actually take advice from this guy, you know what that makes you. Will Ferrell, take it away.
What an idiot.
Next, following St. Bonaventure winning the Atlantic 10 championship, the team's videographer was attempting to capture the players' ecstatic celebration. However, he was prevented in his duties by a security guard who chased Nathan DeSutter, the digital media director for St. Bonaventure Athletics, and a credentialed member of the press around the court.
Final score, St. Bonaventure 74, VCU 65. And with their win, St. Bonaventure is the 2021 Atlantic 10 champion, earning the automatic bid to the NCAA championship.
DeSutter was able to avoid him for a little bit and continued to try and film his winning team, but the security guard eventually got him in a chokehold and began dragging him away. What makes this worse is that DeSutter was not only a credentialed member of the press, but he actually had Tier 1 credential, giving him access to the court, according to Yahoo Sports. An Atlantic 10 source told Yahoo it was a misunderstanding of access between security and the Bond's videographer. The source added, security guards, especially in COVID times, are trained to keep media off the court, but this guy was allowed to be out there. The security guard actually interrupted the celebration as the players and coaching staff had to stop him from dragging DeSutter off the court. Take a look.
Final score, St. Bonaventure 74, VCU 65. And with their win, St. Bonaventure is the 2021 Atlantic 10 champion, earning the automatic bid to the NCAA championship. Fans, be sure to stick around for the award ceremony. It will begin in approximately 10 minutes, where we will crown the 2021 Atlantic 10 men's basketball champions and announce the all-championship team and most outstanding player.
This is literal clown world, and in order to protect people from COVID at a basketball game where the players on the floor aren't wearing masks or social distancing, a security guard is putting a school employee in a chokehold and dragging him off the court. The security guard might seem the obvious choice for this daily stupid, but the actual protocols in place that led to him making the decision to put DeSutter in a chokehold are way dumber. It's pure stupidity through and through. No other way to explain it.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Think, McFly. Think.
Next, The View host Joy Behar claimed that Antifa is a fictitious organization and that the group does not exist. Her comments came on The View, where she was discussing Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson's claim that he was not afraid on January 6th, but he would have been if the protesters were part of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Behar said,
But Ron, no, he's not scared of those people. He's scared of this fictitious idea of Antifa, a thing that doesn't even exist. He needs to go. He needs to go, and soon.
In a follow-up segment, Behar would then state,
I just want to clarify that Christopher Wray, who is the FBI director, says that Antifa is an ideology, not an organization. There is no sign that they were involved in the Capitol siege. Let's be clear.
She would then get in a brief back and forth with co-host Meghan McCain.
I'm not saying they were involved in the Capitol siege. I'm saying they exist.
That's all. I'm done.
It exists.
I said my thing, and you said yours.
It was
We're
a
done.
fantasy. You said Antifa doesn't exist,
We'll
and it's
be
a
right
fantasy
back.
like this.
It's an idea. It's an idea.
Antifa is most definitely a real organization, as former Attorney General Bill Barr made clear in a statement back in June 2020 in response to rioting and looting across the United States. Barr stated, the violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with the rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. Barr's statement came after a report in Politico from 2017 that law enforcement was describing the actions of the organization as domestic terror violence. The report by Josh Mayer detailed, quote, federal authorities have been warning state and local officials since early 2016 that leftist extremists known as Antifa had become increasingly confrontational and dangerous, so much so that the Department of Homeland Security formally classified their activities as domestic terror violence, according to interviews and confidential law enforcement documents obtained by Politico. And you don't need reports from Politico or statements from former Attorney General Bill Barr that Antifa is real. The organizations literally have Facebook and Twitter pages. To claim that Antifa doesn't exist and it's just an idea shows just how utterly loony bin crazy Joy Behar is. If she thinks Antifa is imaginary, one has to wonder what other dodo brain things she's been spouting on Disney's The View. I'm sure there's a lot, because she's clearly an idiot.
You're totally not serious. You can't be that stupid, right?
Last but not least, Clayburn Griffin is doubling down on stupidity and racism. First, this failed congressional candidate tweeted, quote, "While I'm not suggesting Bill Burr is a racist, a white man having a non-white wife can sometimes be a sign of racism. So you shouldn't assume someone isn't racist just because they own a minority sex servant. They may very well have one because they're racist." Burr's wife, Nia Renee Hill, responded to this initial tweet writing, "B-word, shut the F up." Griffin would respond writing, "As I mentioned, I'm not referring to you or Bill. I don't know you two." Except in his initial tweet, he responded to an image of Burr and Hill and then proceeded to open up his first sentence mentioning Bill Burr. But he wasn't referring to Burr. Right. Yeah. You got me there. I'm falling for that one. No. Nevertheless, he still continued with his obvious garbage defense and tried to deflect his own hatred onto others. He wrote, "Nah, it's taken out of context and being spread by the alt-right in order to obfuscate the original point and paint a narrative that critical race theory is racist. Holy virtue signal Batman! The mental gymnastics are truly astounding here. Fortunately, most people aren't as dumb as Clayburn and aren't falling for his bullshit explanations. His original tweet was wildly stupid and hateful, but his doubling down is doubly so. This guy might be the biggest moron on the planet, and that's in the Daily Stupid with Don Lemon and Joy Behar."
What would you do with a brain if you had one?
This has been your Daily Stupid. If you have suggestions for tomorrow, leave a comment or hit us up on social media. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounty in the Comics.